Hello, fellow expats! It finally happened. I got my first Czech interview. And it was actually pretty alright. I feel much more confident with my Czech now afterwards. And it was pretty interesting because I feel it's such a massive milestone to be able to communicate with the people of the country you live in as an expat. But don't worry, for this video I'm going to keep it in English because out of the 5 of you watching, 2 might be Czech, the rest I don't know. So we're going to keep it fair and keep it English. Some additional context for anyone who doesn't know me. I've been living in the Czech Republic for almost 6 years now, and my language level is pretty alright, I would say. I can communicate outside, I can speak to the locals, I can speak to my stepwife's family, but then working in a language I feel is a completely different beast. We'll get to that. We're currently discussing the possibility with my partner whether we can actually move to a smaller city, less international, and how can I live and work in it. I'm actually getting sick of speaking to people throughout the camera. I would like to work to people face to face. So with a market that's more Czech focused and requires more Czech, I figured, well, it's time to try and expand, take some risks, and figure out what can I do with it. I saw there was this one job posting in the perfect location, and then I applied to it. The only requirement outside of the normal project management stuff was C1 English, which I have. I sent my application, I just wrote there that, look, we're trying to move to the city and I'm looking for a suitable position so I can work with people. My Czech is a bit limited, but I fit the rest of the profile. They seemed to like me because they called me, they booked an interview immediately, and it was straight to face-to-face interview, which I found a bit weird, but then again, it might be more standard. One of the extra preparations I had to do for the interview was the vocabulary, because like I said, I could use it informally, but I'm not sure if I can sell myself using Czech, and I think that's a big part of the interview, and also me actually understanding what their expectations are, what they do, and so on. So I told my teacher/girlfriend, can we do some mock interviews, let's prepare some vocabulary, and my 3 Czech lessons afterwards were actually all focused on that. It was great, but also kind of useless because the way they did the interview, I had no opportunity to actually use my intro or anything I prepared, and I kind of had to think on the spot and use whatever language I have. Ultimately, I only managed to speak about 20 minutes in Czech, and then we hit kind of a rock, and I was like, sorry, my Czech is a bit limited, can I continue in English? Which they were happy with, and ultimately the interview went on for another hour. So they either have a lot of free time or I guess it was fine. I'll quickly go through some of the more interesting parts of the interview. Like for example, they started by asking me why do I want to move there, why did I learn Czech, and so on, which I found weird that they were more interested in that rather than the fact that, hey, this is my background, this is what I do, this is what I want to get out of this. It also felt like my background in development was detracting from the fact that I'm now working as a project manager and I'm looking for more leadership positions. In a sense like, oh, why aren't you a developer if you know how to do development? Or, okay, I don't really care about your understanding of software. What's your understanding of running software projects? And I found it very weird because usually people value the fact that I have the development background and I understand what goes into it and I can communicate things across from like development to different stakeholders, C-level stuff, whatever. Then I had a question for them. How do you imagine this working? Because obviously, yeah, I have limited Czech, but like, do your people speak English? Can I just switch to it if I don't remember a word? Because reading is one thing, like I can look it up, I can use some sort of AI to help me figure out the vocabulary, it's not really an issue. But if I have to walk up to someone and speak to them or pick up a phone and speak to them, then I need to be able to, if I don't remember how to say a specific phrase, switch to English. And it's weird because they kind of turn it back at me and they were like, well, how do you imagine this working for you? And it's like, I don't know. You're supposed to be having the people speaking English and the international clients. So I need to understand how your company is working, because the way I understand it working is that I could message people in Czech, but all the projects are actually run in English and the work is done in English, the clients are in English. So where's the requirement for Czech outside of like day-to-day communications and something that some people might not know how to say in English and they have to say in Czech? And again, based on that response and some of the other things I asked, I'm not actually fully confident if companies actually have international clients or companies work with international companies in the Czech Republic, so everyone is asking for some level of English just in case. And it's a bit of a trend I noticed with other companies as well. They say they require a level of English, but it's not actually what they say it is. For example, they might say, oh, we need C1 English, or we need C2 English, or there's very few people I work over here, international companies or not, that actually have C1 or C2. And this is not a detracting statement by any means. English can be difficult, working in a different language can be difficult, but I think it's more of the case that people think they speak better English than they do, but at the same time they don't show the same leniency to you if your Czech is not as good as they imagined it to be, and usually they imagine a Slovak speaking Czech, which is like 90% of the way there. And aside from my own personal stories, I heard it from a Norwegian friend who actually came for training in Brno here by a big international company. And the trainer actually didn't speak enough English to train them. And he said that it was a complete waste of time because they couldn't understand them. And you know, I completely get it. 35 years ago, Czechoslovaks couldn't even learn English anywhere. But it's been 35 fucking years, and you do rely on foreign investments and foreign business, and you're part of the EU. You're no longer part of Russia. But you only seem to remember this when you have to excuse your shitty English or your shitty behavior, and not when you have to run your business or run your society. So from now on, I decided that I'm just going to say I have B1 Czech. I think it's very accurate, and yeah, I'm just continuing to work on it, really. I love this country. I've met a lot of good people. I love my Czech wife. Her family has been great to me. Our friends have been great to me. Most of the people I meet are very understanding. But I think there's a problem in the 40 to 50 age group or older, and they kind of need to get over it eventually. But until they get over it, I'm just going to be here shouting at them, trying to do my best to improve things. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments. I'll keep you up to date if I have any news from the job or any new updates. And yeah, have a good one.